Hi, everyone. Welcome back for another episode of For the Love of Health web show. And we're going to get super dialed in and focused going into 2024 this year, really getting to the heart of how to overcome challenges when we're pursuing health. And also, I really wanted to listen out to you all. And that's why the last few weeks I've been asking questions about subjects that you want to know more in depth about. So we're bringing on not just people who have experienced the things that you've gone through, but have overcome a lot of the challenges that you are currently facing. So with specific answers to your specific questions. So we're getting really geared into more focus going in 2024. And we're here today with Sandy Rigg, and she is a person who has a very long career in pharmacy and in pharmacology, and she now currently resides in Florida. And she also is someone who has gone through the ringer with fibromyalgia, and she now coaches individuals who also has fibromyalgia, and she has a vibrant Facebook group where people with fibromyalgia can come and be together collectively, and she serves those individuals very customized, very thoroughly. You're going to have a lot of things to hear in this conversation today from Sandy, from her personal experience dealing with this disease, but also how she's now overcome that step by step, and her attitude and her mindset, how the hurdles that she had to go through to help her get to the other side and into what she now says is remission, which is an amazing turnover. And she used a lot of holistic natural solutions, maybe almost all. So we're very excited to have her today because we know that many of you have said in recent weeks that this is something you're currently dealing with and you wanted help. So let's all welcome Sandy Reese Rigg to the web show today. Hi, Sandy. Thanks for
Hi,
being here.
hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. And Sandy, you and I have previously connected on another call just to prepare for this interview. We both realized that we're both from New York, we're from the North, and we migrated south, made it to Florida. You made it to Florida, and you've been running your company and have really, you discovered that you had fibromyalgia while building this work down in Florida. Can you tell us, what is like the overarching fibromyalgia mindset that you've had to take on to help you deal with this illness?
So it's a lot. So sometime about 2013, I was under tremendous amount of stress. And I don't know if that's what precipitated it, but um, I was diagnosed eventually after seeing numerous doctors, spending thousands of dollars, and finally self-diagnosed myself and then presented it to the doctor for him to then acknowledge that, yes, I have fibromyalgia, and to, document it. So that's how it started. I had to change everything about my belief, everything that I was trained in. Um, I was a registered nurse before I became a pharmacist. So I've been practicing. I've been a nurse since 1986. I've been a pharmacist since 1996. And until I was diagnosed, and I get a little emotional talking about this, I had no idea that lifestyle, diet, holistic approach, supplements could, and teaching your body to heal itself could heal itself. Because I was taught, I went to nursing school, I went to pharmacy school, get diagnosed, you have an illness, you may need some therapy, you may need medications. And so I have, I think it would be more of a shift for me than maybe anybody else. So I went to numerous doctors, had numerous misdiagnoses, was prescribed numerous medications, but I didn't take any of them. The very first doctor that I saw was a podiatrist, because even before I was diagnosed, my symptoms were very, very, very severe pain in my feet that felt like maybe what people have experienced when they have plantar fasciitis, because I had never had that, but I figure maybe it felt like maybe that could be what it felt like if somebody had had plantar fasciitis. But in my mind and in the pain that I was experiencing, it felt like every bone in my feet was broken. So one day I just couldn't work. I couldn't stand. I went to the podiatrist. I actually went to work, put my pocketbook down, looked at my business partner in tears and said, I can't be here. I can't even stand. So I left, made a few phone calls, got a podiatrist to see me that same day, like within the hour, walked into his office, limping. At that point, I think the pain was a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. And when I walked in, I thought while I was walking from the car to the door that every step would break another bone or another few bones. I was absolutely convinced. So I really wanted him just to do an x-ray to tell me how many bones were broken and how bad this was. And to my surprise, he did the x-ray after examining me and said that no bones were broken. And I was in shock and utter dismay, because the pain was so bad, and that's really how it felt. So anyway, he said that I had plantar fasciitis and wanted to inject me with steroids, which is like cortisone. And I couldn't even though I wanted to get relief, I couldn't imagine anything being injected into my foot, because the pain couldn't be any worse. And an injection to me would just make it so much worse. So I refused. And on my way through the door, the podiatrist looked at me and said, you'll be back. He never wished me well. He never offered another recommendation. He wished that I would get worse or that I would stay the same in that excruciating pain and I would come back. Well, an astonishing thing happened, because almost immediately after he told me that no bones were broken, I must have gotten up, and the pain literally went from a 10 to maybe I don't know, a 5 or a 6. And so it was at that point that I realized that, yes, fibromyalgia is real, because I'm experiencing it. I didn't know what it was at the time, though. The pain is real, but there is something to be said about the mind and pain. And that was the only connection that I drew at that time. So after I was diagnosed, I started studying about pain science and the connection of pain and mindset, and pain as a protective mechanism. But I'm going to pause here so that you can lead me in the next direction. But this is how powerful your mindset is in terms of healing anything.
Yeah, wow, Sandy. I mean, there's so much to unpack in what you just said. I mean, when and how you got diagnosed too, and what's going on now in the world speaks volumes about the lack of visibility about this illness. I remember from our previous conversation that what stood out to me was your business partner at the time, like was so caught up in the world of the business, did not know, really that you were in as much pain as you were. And so I remember you saying that you painfully showed up to prove to your partner that this was real, but this was not something that was being made up. And I think that a lot of people with chronic illness have had moments like that, where it's just not visible to the people around us. And then what you just said about the physician, and that's a very typical response that many people have experienced, right? That this is like, we go in for care and we receive a statement like, okay, well, we'll see you soon, we'll see you again. And I can't imagine the feeling that you were experiencing in that moment, that it was like this acknowledgement that you're this person with illness and will be attending this treatment. So it's amazing that you had the gumption to reject that mentality and not to allow it to apply to your being. So could you speak on that bravery and that decision to follow your intuition instead of allowing that system to permeate you and become the sole decision maker for your health?
So I have to thank that physician, because after I was diagnosed, what he said just kept resonating, and it was resounding in my head,
Mm.
and it still is. I never
Mm.
forgot him. I don't remember his name, but I'm sure I could,
Mm.
find out, because I just dismissed him. I don't even remember his name. I just absolutely dismissed him. And I decided at that moment, even though I hadn't been diagnosed yet, well, I hadn't
Mm.
been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, but I was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis.
Mm.
Um, I made up my mind at that very moment when I was walking through his door. I remember speaking to his receptionist and saying, like, thank you and whatever. And I don't remember if there was a copay. And at that moment, that exact moment that I was pushing the door and he was saying, you'll be back. And I turned my head to say, no, I won't. And I did say that. And at that exact moment, I knew that I had to take control of whatever was wrong with me. I knew it wasn't plantar fasciitis, and that was, there was something bigger that was wrong with me, and I knew it, and I left, and I never went back. I never went back to another podiatrist either. But the pain did subside at that very moment, just knowing that another step wasn't going to break more bones. So my point is, the physicians, the nurses, the hospital, the therapists, the whatever, they are not in control of you, your illness, or your life, or your destiny. They're just not. They're working to sustain themselves just like you, and they have a job, and that's their job, that's their career. And that's their responsibility. Yes, to do no harm, to help, to heal, but you as a person that's ill, or even a person that's well, you have 100% responsibility to yourself. To
Amen, Sandy. Yes, amen. I
full
mean,
stop. Yeah.
and that's
So
that's it.
I
The
think
decision
that when
making.
people assume that responsibility and become responsible for themselves and become autonomous in their care and every step of the way of the care, whether it's what you do when you wake up in the morning, what you eat, what you drink, what you say, what you think, how you act, what medications you take, what supplements you take, knowing the side effects, getting help to see what else is out there you know, other than what's not helping you. That becomes your responsibility. And unless you can own that, you will not get help and you won't overcome the challenges.
Yeah, there's consequences, especially as it gets more and more severe, correct?
So there's so many facets to this illness, because the hallmark symptoms are pain, fatigue, brain fog. And then after those three, there are a lot of other things. A lot of people have insomnia, anxiety, irritable bowel syndrome. I mean, it just goes on and on. There's about 18 pressure points. And if you're diagnosed with about 11 of those, they rule out everything else and diagnose you with fibromyalgia. Now, uh,
Mm.
many people end up taking all kinds of medications. The most common ones I would say is, before you even get diagnosed, you end up taking what they call non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, which is called NSAIDs to short. So that's like naproxen, or Aleve, or Motrin, or ibuprofen, whatever, however you term it. And while they're on those over-the-counter medications, they seem very benign, because you go to the drugstore, you don't even need to speak to a pharmacist. You pick them up, you go home, you take them. Based on how many you're taking every day and the long-term, how long you're taking them for, you can be damaging your kidneys. If you're taking other medications, even Tylenol can be damaging your liver. they put people on now all kinds of other medications, antidepressants, whatever. They all have side effects. But I would say that what I have seen the most of so far with people in my Facebook page, people that I communicate with, clients, myself, is that the kidney is most at risk because most of the people, the pain is so severe, and that's the hallmark symptom that they can't really get over. They take something to alleviate this pain. And a lot of people damage their kidneys. And sometimes they go to the doctor and the doctor continues to prescribe these medications even after the over-the-counter medications. Some of them end up at the doctor and the doctor prescribes anti-inflammatories and, NSAIDs and other medications. And sometimes the kidneys get damaged under the doctor's care, and the doctor doesn't even, or provider doesn't necessarily tell the patient until they're in stage 2 or 3 that their kidneys are compromised, because they know that the pain is so severe. They're afraid to lose the patient or afraid to even tell the patient, I can't give you another prescription because of XYZ. And so by the time they find out that they're having, their kidneys are compromised, they're already between stage 1 and stage 5. And at stage 5 is dialysis. So that's one consequence.
Yeah, acute recommendations for a long-term illness. There's a lot more to this. There has to be a lot more to that management than just acute situations with these known, toxic substances.
Right. And so that's just one thing, but if you think about your whole demise, your relationships with people, because you have anxiety, you have depression, you have brain fog, you have confusion. I had a terrible time with just running my business, with employees, with other relationships, even with my own family, even with my husband, my marriage. I mean, there's just a demise because you're getting sicker. You're worried. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. There were days that I would wake up and I wouldn't know if I was going to be able to work the following month because I was just so worried, because the illness is just so, there's just no answers. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring and what symptom you're going to have. But in addition to that, if you're working and you are the breadwinner, for example, or you are, a single mom, or you just need to work. You could, be married like me, and we need 2 incomes. And you're so worried about what's going to happen if, in my case, if I lost my business or if I just couldn't work. And those were very real.
Yes.
To me, every day when I woke up, that was on my mind. Would I be able to get up out of bed next month?
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm getting up today and I'm probably going to be able to get up tomorrow, but what's next month going to bring? And so even financial consequences, you don't know, you don't realize, if you take your annual salary and you say, okay, I have X amount of years to work, and you multiply that by your annual salary, that's a lot of money. And if you become disabled because you don't take action and you don't get help and you don't take control and own this responsibility for helping yourself, eventually I have a lot of people in my Facebook group now that are on disability, sadly, because they never got help. And it's not blaming anybody. You just don't know where to turn, because I went to tons of doctors and providers and spent thousands of dollars before I finally diagnosed myself.
So for those who are in my web show, another thing I want to mention going into 2024 is I'm going to be really sharing my values on this platform. I believe in serving God. I believe in bringing guests who I believe are blessed by God. Sandy, I have to say, I think that God said, here is light to you, Sandy, and so that you can work with people. I believe God was with you wholeheartedly to support you and to help you see through this illness, and then to be able to turn it to help others. I mean, this is absolute servitude, So if we could shift a little bit now into, maybe, I remember one of the strategies you mentioned on our previous call, which stood out to me so systematically, that could be so helpful, I think, to many people suffering right now with fibromyalgia. And it is your bath routine. Can you break that down a little bit, that step by step that you shared with me, that sequence to support your livelihood with a bath routine?
So sure. So there's a lot of things that I do. So that's just one thing, but twice a day, every single day, including this morning, even though I had to log on at 9 o'clock, every single day, twice a day, I take a bath, a tub bath. So I use Epsom salts, sometimes not twice a day, usually just for the evening one. But I soak in warm water every single day, and I use Epsom salts in the evenings after a long day at work. And it serves so many purposes because it's A, my time alone, B, my time to de-stress, C, my time to reflect, D, just my time to increase the circulation in my body. It's also hydrotherapy, which has a lot of values. I also have a routine with my feet that I do in the bath, which is a reflexology, do-it-yourself reflexology routine that I can share a video, with you or with your clients through a DM after. And I rub my feet in a certain way. I have a special loofah type of nylon washcloth that I use, all over my body during the session and on my feet. And I'm very aware of every part of my body when I am doing this routine, especially my feet, because it started in my feet and I don't ever want to get that pain in my feet again. So I have this routine that I do, and I rub my feet in, like three areas of each foot, and I'm concentrating and following the routine during my bath during that time. And it's very methodical and systematical. And I do this every day, twice a day. And, it's just a part of the commitment that I want to share with you, because it's either you're ready or you're not, because it does take time. It becomes a habit, it becomes like a lifetime change. And somebody actually yesterday on one of my blogs on Facebook sent a message to me about my course. And then at the end of the message, she wrote, "Is this a daily or lifetime? Question mark, question mark." So I sent her back a message, that I'd be willing to have a conversation with her to book a call, but I'm not sure what she meant. But she may have meant, do I do this every day for a week, or is this something I'm going to have to do for my life? And I don't really know how to answer that question, because I don't know if I stop all my routines today, if the fibromyalgia flare-ups are going to come back tomorrow. So I'm not even sure how to answer her question, but because I know that I never want to be back in that deep, dark place of pain, fatigue, and brain fog, which we didn't even mention so much on this so far, that I'm going to continue those routines and those lifestyles, dietary modifications and lifestyle modifications for the rest of my life if I can, because I would never want to get back to that place. So question mark, question mark. Yeah, to me, it's for life.
Yeah, and how is it like serving clients with also being in that balance as a person living with chronic illness or illness that's now in remission, but still could express itself if there were to be a shift into that direction again? Like, what would you do?
So there are days that, I don't feel 100%. It's not necessarily pain, but I might feel, like a little more tired than maybe I would have felt if I never had this illness. That's how I feel anyway. Maybe it's because I'm getting older too. I'm not sure. But on those days, I mean, I do specific extra things. Like I have um, a green smoothie that I'll drink on those days, which have a lot of probiotics, and greens, which have antioxidants and stuff. So when I meet with my clients, I try to share these things with them, that there is no end to taking care of yourself. There is no end to the extent that I will go to, to keep helping myself to prevent myself going back to that stage. So not everybody is willing yet. They haven't reached that mindset yet of they're 100% responsible, and they have to be 100% in tune with their body, and they have to journal until, I don't journal anymore, but I did for a long time so that I could connect the dots. So it took a long time for me to get sick. I was sick for 7 years before I started getting relief and starting being able to help myself. And it could take, a month, 3 months, 6 months. I don't know how long it's going to take each person. And this is what I try to impress upon my clients and anybody that I speak to with fibromyalgia. You have to be patient, you have to be consistent, you have to be willing. And the most important thing is what we're talking about today is you have to believe that you can get better. You have to believe that there is such a thing as remission, just like for cancer or anything else. But because that phrase has been coined by the medical society, and they've told everybody with fibromyalgia, that there is no cure. They don't even know what the etiology is. They don't know what causes it. A lot of people don't know what their triggers are. So it's hard, and I understand that. And it was very hard for me. It's hard to know, it's hard to even have hope. It's hard to believe that if you do these things and you give up some of the things that you like. I had to give up chocolate. It was really hard. I used to eat a Kit Kat every single day of my life. I had to give up chocolate. So it's hard to give up the things. It's hard to make the commitment, you know, but it pays off. And for me, it's just a no-brainer. If I had to do it again, I would do it all over again. I would make all the commitments. I also about 85% plant-based now. I don't eat much meat at all. I mean, Thanksgiving I had a little bit, and it has helped me tremendously, even, in other aspects of my life. My cholesterol levels went down, all my labs are perfect. So I gave up a lot, and I don't know how many people that are listening today are willing to give up a lot. But understand this, no matter what you give up, and even if you take one step forward, you're going to get some relief, and you're going to be better off than yesterday. So instead of, saying, okay, become plant-based and drink more water and take a bath 2 times a day and use Epsom salts and, plant-based and give up sugar and give up chocolate. And I just say, take 3 steps, take 3 steps and see how you do. Because every step in the right direction is going to take you further away from the symptoms that you're experiencing every day, that's preventing you from being yourself. A lot of people with fibromyalgia are mourning their old self. They're lost. Their old self is gone. And this new person is somebody that they don't even know. They're not vibrant. They're not happy. They can't socialize. They can't do the things they used to do. Some people can't even attend a soccer game with their kids. It's really a debilitating illness. So I say this, just take one baby step every day, and you'll be going in the right direction.
Sandy, thank you so much for coming on to For the Love of Health web show and sharing not only just your poignant insights and the practices that you've employed and your steadfast vision on what people can do to navigate this and feel holistic and take care of themselves. It's truly inspiring. And we'll share the link for your Facebook group and any other resources that I know that you mentioned a reflexology video. And I think
Right.
that feet image was so powerful to help people just find a place on the body to connect and learn. And I love the steps. That's great. Take 3
Thank you
steps.
so much for having me, and I hope that this helps even one person.
Absolutely, it will. I can guarantee it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day and happy holiday season.
Thank you.
Thank you all.